Today's video, Everything Great About Shazam, is sponsored by Audible. Follow the link at the top of the description to get a 30-day trial. Shazam! Style WB and New Line logos. Am I supposed to use the exclamation point every time? Am I supposed to say it too? Shazam logos. Nah, we're letting that go. Mr. Mind just chillin', waiting for a sequel.
Don't be his champion.
This was the exact moment that I realized the trailers hit the movie really well. Sin eye shadowing. Even with the correct eye.
Listen to what I say.
Ha! Art imitating life, or art imitating art? Listen to what I say. Do you hear what I hear? No, they don't hear you, Thad. You should probably throw them both out of windows at separate times. If Mickey's in there, Billy could have gone down a whole other path, a brain-damaged path. I'm gonna give you a win because I didn't notice the doll in theaters, which means it's not ultra distracting. So self-indulgence tempered.
No. That's my lunch, kid!
Lock me in a store and use my laptop. Fine. But steal a man's cheesesteak? Whew. True life Philly.
I want the tiger.
Sorry, kid, the world just isn't ready for Talkie Tawny. Oh. Both our kids have black spheres that can guide you in life. Just pointing out how well thought out this was. Looks like some bean juice on that pin.
Won't have you living on the streets looking for someone who never looked for you.
Smart way to misdirect our attention. Most of the parents watching know that nothing would keep them from finding their lost kid, so Occam's razor says that she never did. But adults are always wrong in these movies, so it must be that there's something they don't know.
Girl, I'm young at heart.
That's just the weirdest delivery. And I love every bit of it, Jerry.
Die! He doesn't mean that. It's a game.
Yeah, they mean it. E-sportsmanship in the background.
One weird thing is, you know the Romans used to brush their teeth with their urine?
Julia said, yeah, ammonia. Makes sense. My wife's weird. Does that make this a wife win or a hygiene lesson? Wife lesson.
You look at me and you're like, why so dark? You're a disabled foster kid. You've got it all, right?
I've talked about the best, or maybe just my favorite way to get representation right, and this is it. One joke, and then Freddy is just treated like the normal kid that he is. Obviously, the DCEU exists in Shazam, even if Batfleck no longer does, but like, it really exists. The Aftermath headline is all about Soups and Zod's scuffle. And I know it seems like a lot of shameless references in Freddy's room, but it 100% makes sense that a foster kid with a disability, any kid for that matter, would idolize heroes, and it sort of pulls this movie out of the DCEU and lets us view it from the outside, almost more akin to our own universe, while still clearly being a part of it.
Well, not if you think of them as possible future friends, then, wow, so many friends.
Friendship advice.
We're not actually brother and sister, so.
A hard moment, especially when we've all fallen in love with Darla already. But also super realistic as a kid who bounces from home to home. Of course he's gonna put up walls to protect himself. An honest portrayal of being a foster kid. This time symbols reflected in Savannah's glasses. She's clearly never seen this room before, which makes sense since it's locked with a keypad and he obviously wouldn't want anyone to see it. But now that he believes he has the final clue, why should he care?
You can't believe any of this is real.
Welp, you'd think the director's wife would have more faith. Also brutal.
You seek a pure soul, old man, but no one's worthy.
To be fair, they could have also cut to a coat rack or possibly an elevator. We left that undecided, I guess.
You could have one superpower. Flight or invisibility, what would you pick?
Great way to sum up the message of the film. The powers aren't what matter, just like your background doesn't matter. It's who you choose to be that matters. Which, for now...
So they can fly away from this conversation.
Sweet of DC to remind any Fawcett comic writers that they no longer exist. Just kidding, we should all be so happy to be owned by one of the 3 global monopolies. So it's like the bare minimum of human decency to stand up for a kid who's dependent on a crutch to stand, see, even the bullies believe in equality, who's been kicked while on the ground because he scratched a truck by being hit by it while they were driving on the sidewalk. That's a mouthful of stupid. But Billy changing his mind and hitting one of the bullies across the face is perfect. He's not a hero yet and could have seriously injured the kid. I mean, comic book rules, I guess. Kid's fine, so whatevs. Ah, the violin is still burning as a reference to a comic from 1946. And now Mr. Mind is filming that sequel.
Long ago, we chose a champion, and we chose recklessly.
I don't care what the use case is, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is never a reckless choice. Sandberg's horror roots are showing. Who knew little yellow dots can make you feel such dread? Love the constant steam or smoke rising off of Shazam's staff.
You, Billy Batson, are all I have.
You can't say it's not a unique origin for a hero. The wizard goes on a whole spiel about how he'd never choose someone like Black Adam again, but then also adds that he's out of options. So there's a slight uneasiness about Billy's championing, which is one of my favorite things about Shazam. He's not Cap, wasn't just born good, he had to learn it.
My brothers and sisters were slain by the sins. Their thrones lie empty.
Jaimin Ansu has been quietly killing it for years, from Amistad and Gladiator to The Island and Blood Diamond to Never Back Down and Guardians. Now they put him in goofy hair and eyebrows, and you still believe every word out of his mouth. Love this man. Jaimin Ansu is always a win.
Thrones of our brothers and sisters await.
Also, not to mention he's in Aquaman, and I believe the only actor to be in both versions of Captain Marvel.
Shazam.
Wait, for real?
Appropriate reaction. Also, that's your name and you never heard of Star-Lord?
Wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas.
It might not have been totally apparent, but anyone wondering why Shazam has such a goofy name, it's an acronym. Just ignore Solomon's wisdom for now. Can we give a workout routine win when his shirt is still on? Seems like it. Zachary Levi's workout routine. Legit, look at this dude. Also speaking of Tawny.
It shouldn't work, but hot damn it does!
Compliments and honesty. It does work. You know what's been missing from my life lately? Beautiful beard wins. Finally a man worthy of the win.
Try to believe that you can fly.
Believe. Okay. I believe I can fly.
Worked for R. Kelly. No.
Come over there and beat you.
Accidental powers.
Mr. Philadelphia!
That's a cream cheese thing, dude.
See, and I went right to that other Tom Hanks movie.
You just made $73.
Everything about Shazam's first heroic act is like the definition of irreverent. We've seen so many sincere takes on this scene, but having a kid in an adult's body just stumbling into his powers to save a woman who needs no saving only to freak her out enough that she gives him I didn't see nothing money. There's nothing heroic about any of it, and it's the #1 reason this movie works.
Still can't fly. I'd like to purchase some of your finest beer, please.
The reveal of Freddy takes so long because Shazam is a giant. Someone overstocked the Reese's, and that's never a bad thing. His instinct is still to hide behind Freddy. So heroic.
I'm bulletproof.
Worked for David Guetta and Sia. Is that one still okay? Okay, cool.
Shoot him in the face.
Shoot me in the face. In the face?
True friendship. Seriously though, they've known each other for a day, and testing out all the powers is going to be way more pressing to Freddy than pretty much anything else. Believe it, kids. You actually have to work up to liking it. That's what everybody means when they say acquired taste. So like, don't even bother. Or do, I'm not your dad.
That tastes like actual vomit. Oh, hey, what's up? I'm a superhero.
Politeness, sort of. It's sort of polite to let people know what your deal is.
Difference is when they find them, be the first to take them back.
Let's just give these fictional and so many real foster parents like them a freaking win. I can't help but swallow hard at such a simple sentiment that so many kids are in need of.
Even Mary did it. Twice.
And on that note, both the education or awareness about foster kids and the normalization of it being hard are top notch. Even for someone like overachieving Mary, it's a process.
It's not a home till you call it a home.
This tree's so sad.
Ha, she said watch out for the bum step.
Watch the bum step.
Chekhov's step.
Then he made me say Shazam.
Clark Griswold would shed a tear. Savannah's baller outfit. That took a brutal turn. And then continued around the brutal corner.
What sin best befits you, Father?
Being a bad dad. First Lex Luthor and now this? I'm just realizing, did Ford pay for this placement, realize their truck was going to hit a kid with crutches, and then decide to throw an F-150 Raptor in with a custom grille so only people who already know a Ford when they see one will know what truck to associate with hate crimes?
The business office. The business office, huh?
Yeah, man, when they aren't in his car, it's where he keeps his business papers. Man, credence tapes.
I got held up at the business office doing all the work stuff. All the kids admire so much.
Oh, actually, that's the other one. This one sucks.
Honesty.
Ready?
Algebra!
Queen is always a win. Freddy's clearly a Casey Neistat fan, opting for the in-camera headers rather than post. He be flossin' worked for Backpack Kid. You know what? Let's just drop that bit for now. And again, a testing out your new powers montage, Seta Queen, is the fastest way to safely light your buddy on fire. No Matt lads here. Sure you don't mean Sapton Zamel? Cap Shazamvel? Alas, we simple YouTubers need and receive commas, but I'm still gonna give you a win for being really accurate with your image of YouTube, even showing the 8th Deadly Sin studio beta. I love that it took like, what, a few days for everyone to just get used to Shazam as an addition to the stacked roster of superheroes in the DCEU, even to the point of annoyance.
Think you can do better? What the hell?
Obviously, Billy picks the Thunder God.
Name one cool sidekick.
Dwight Schrute, Chewbacca, Spock. Look, I know you're all yelling that these are fantastic standalone characters, but by definition, they are sidekicks to the main protagonists of the stories they exist in. Samwise, also?
Don't be worried about everybody else. Always look out for number one.
Going along with Mary being really no different from Billy except some time with a real family, the two different perspectives are perfect.
Light me with my hands. Light me with my hands.
I guess he didn't need Mickey after all. If you're wondering why Billy didn't jump up there and pull the bus back, it happened really quickly, and more importantly, he sucks at this. He may have forgotten he could even do that in the moment. I mean...
You just wish it was you.
No I would kill to have what you have.
Some real honesty.
Weapons of man draw no blood from our kind.
Badass bad guy.
Santa's always here for you.
The true meaning of Christmas. Everyone for themselves.
I'm Batman. Get him, Batman!
Sorry, Billy. Ben's got other stuff going on now. This is like Bigception, since Big was partially inspired by the Captain Marvel comics, later to be changed to Shazam, and now Shazam the movie is paying homage to Big. Also, all Tom Hanks had to do was date a girl 2 decades older than him. Catching a goof and fixing it in post. More importantly, directors who make YouTube videos to point out and explain flaws while poking fun at themselves in their own movies are always a win.
Now there's no time to paint them out, there's just enough time to add some bags and a mop. Now they're customers and janitors.
Savannah's very controlled and powerful flying versus Billy's goofy Soups impression. It's like they're in 2 different movies, it shouldn't work.
Damn, it does!
Fun fact, the cartoon in the background is a short by Sandberg.
Are you saying Billy's a human power storm? Yes, you guys figured it out.
Cliche dodge with the kids figuring it out pretty quickly. Ha! A bumper sticker that would exist in the DCEU, and let's be honest, not a single hero in the DCEU has anything on foster parents.
Oh, how quaint. Actually, I take that back. What a shithole.
Honesty, I guess. Ouch.
It's no one.
Ouch. Why didn't Billy look up his mom on Facebook? First, stop that. It's implied that he definitely tried that. You think he goes to all this trouble but forgot about social media? We also never see him drink water, so why hasn't he died of dehydration? Sorry, you don't come here for a snark. Sometimes you get a little. I'm not saying that everything should be implied rather than shown, but she was going by her maiden name and clearly didn't want to be found. There's no hole here.
No, you didn't find her because she reverted to her maiden name.
Mom's not exactly going pro here.
Man, the shift in tone of how Billy built this moment up in his mind. It's totally believable and makes perfect sense. His mom was his hero, he was the bad guy. His memory perception changed her hat and gloves from gray and black to white. He added these toggles, making it seem higher quality. Her hair is curled, even her jacket is a brighter red. The lighting of the day, even his own attitude is actually brighter in reality. The same words are spoken, but with entirely different emotions behind them.
I know, honey, I know, but Mom's not exactly going pro here.
You might need it more than me.
Secret burn, but also another good guy, bad guy parallel, since letting go of his magic 8-ball is the same way he fully became a hero, just like Savannah. Almost like realizing there was no real magic in it after all. Two jumping off of roof hero scenes this year with nearly opposite meanings, or at least different catalysts, but both are 2 of my favorite scenes. Miles wanted to be a hero but needed to take that leap of faith. Billy needs to stop running, not just from fights but from family. That's what this moment is. He's always been afraid, cautious, and unsure if and when his powers will work. But he's even more afraid of opening his heart. Now, without even considering what he needs to do to fly, his love for his family and his acceptance of his new home takes over. Good stuff. Superhero landing. Pikachu would be prouder. Whoever.
But I don't think these things have your best interest at heart.
I have to give Billy some credit for being surrounded by evil and still being able to see his opponent for who he is, just another victim.
Pedro, is that a lamp?
You can love Lamp. Stay away from the mace, Pedro!
If a superhero can't save his family, he's not much of a hero.
Superhero lessons.
Shazam!
Yep. And now that he's accepted his Shazamity, he's reached his full potential, beating Savannah with ease, the same way Savannah treated him earlier.
Now let's try this again.
Or try that again!
Encouragement. Nope.
Here, take it. Take it, it's okay.
Come on. That's like growing up incarnate. That's the same tiger he wanted as a kid from arguably the worst day of his life, the most terrifying day of his life. He flips it on its head to a positive symbol to assuage the fears of a random young girl, metaphorically pushing his issues aside for someone else, literally surpassing his mommy idol. Tawky is in this movie, just not how you expected. no capes. Yep, or a bad guy. Blasted by lightning, just flies away.
All hands on deck.
Call back. Oh, best solution to a problem ever. This is like pure fantasy wish fulfillment, and I love every second of it. It's so anti-comic book movie. I get that this is right out of the New 52, but it shouldn't work so well on film, and it does. And I'll never complain about any appearance of Adam Brody. I just also wouldn't hate seeing him with his more recent blonde locks. It's heartwarming, but also makes sense that the kid who has to work harder than everyone else just to walk takes flight immediately. Okay, also there's a theme of 7 in this movie, which might just be happenstance, but 7 deadly sins, 7 symbols written 7 times, Mr. Mind mentions 7 realms, even the mom's apartment is the 7th room on the 7th floor. We also have 7 thrones, but only 6 Shazaheroes. So that 7th throne has to be for Black Adam, right?
We should kick this guy's butt, like, really hard.
We're gonna go with adjudication win for that one.
Think a pack of children can...
Wait, what?
Real-life superhero problems. Not to mention the secondary implication that all bad guy monologues are mostly the same and it doesn't really matter what they're saying, you can probably guess. Weird, it's almost like that kid must have enjoyed BVS. But some symbolism. Is WB really that self-aware? What if this movie had tanked?
Hi! I caught you.
Darla is quickly becoming my favorite. Yep, I think that's some teamwork, knocking the bad guy out of the way for Darla. Don't tell me you wouldn't try that out.
Give me the suitcase wedgies!
Alright, that'll do for now. Comeuppance.
But Envy, he's just the run.
And of course, envy is the sin that stays with Savannah since that's always been his sin of choice. More importantly, finally, a little Solomon's wisdom came through with this trickery.
Shazam!
Who needs a catchphrase when your name explodes baddies? Brutal? Yeah, brutal. I mean, that would have been an epic ending, tying back into the wizard just being desperate, but yeah, this is good too.
Everyone's crazy, man!
Bad Santa 3.0.
After all, I'm home.
Another appropriate reaction. Freddy's versions of events as drawn in his notebook credits. When the credits end up being one of the best things to come out of the DCEU, you know you got something special on your hands.
I named the gods, Doctor, not the other way around.
My first thought was who was doing that incredible comic voice? Billy West? Mark Hamill? John DiMaggio? Nope. David F. Sandberg. It's strange to come out of a superhero movie feeling that the family interactions were your favorite parts. It's not a knock to the action or origin story, but without loving, let's say, most of the family members, this moment wouldn't mean nearly as much. Still gives me chills seeing Darla just so stinking happy to be Shazammed. They done good. It's the hardest and most crucial component to movies like this. Still, clearly Zachary Levi is a huge selling point of the movie. But it's gotta be tough to find kids and adults that can, number 1, pretend to be the same person, and number 2, probably more importantly, not make the audience wish for the other one when they're on screen. I mean, young Freddy, Jack Dylan Grazer, is a huge standout in this movie and would be hard to compete with.
Your words, not mine.
And Seth Cohen is the only man I could ever conceive of filling that sardonic but sweet role. It's not always perfect. There's even a bit of a gap between Billy's, but it's easy to explain away since moody Kid Billy pretty much gets whatever he wants as Shazam, so of course he's not going to be pouty. One winking question from Freddy about how chipper adult Billy is would have lampshaded it, but it still works for me. Being adultified is pretty much the definition of wish fulfillment for most kids.
Fatality.
I got the voice.
Spoiler alert, enjoy being a kid. By the way, I just noticed they're all wearing their Shazamily colors at lunch in the end. Sandberg and screenwriter Henry Gayden created something special here. I actually recommend aspiring filmmakers or anyone interested in the process to watch Sandberg's commentary for this movie. He's just a gracious guy who comes off as very thankful to make movies, big or small. A couple of good takeaways you may not be aware of: additional photography, or reshoots as they're more commonly called, specifically going back after shooting is wrapped, is not always or even usually a bad thing. Most movies do it. It's actually even more complex and nuanced than that. Additional photography can just mean getting coverage on something that was out of focus, or just pickups for shots like a close-up of someone writing. Point is, when you hear such and such is doing reshoots, it doesn't necessarily mean anything is wrong. He also sort of broadly talks about authorial intent and how often things just happen. A lot of us might be sad to find out that our favorite scenes or motifs were just dumb luck. But that's what makes this such an amazing medium to me. Sandberg talks about letting a take go without yelling cut to see what his actors will come up with, and while that gives me, personally, hide under the bed Kevin McAllister style anxiety, I love the idea that the best performance or funniest moments were a talented cast and crew catching lightning in a bottle. Alright, enough singing his praises. I just appreciate genuine people who clearly love what they do. In a lot of ways, I feel like WB asked Sandberg and Gayden to deliver PG-13 Deadpool with no character fourth wall breaks. Fourth wall breaks are there, they're just not spoken directly into the camera. And that's also not a slight, at all. That should be nearly impossible. But they did it. It's a different kind of superhero comic book movie. Deadpool is the only movie I'd even remotely compare it to. There are bits of Raimi's Spidey trilogy, but it ends up landing more in 80s kid movie territory than any comic book movie made before. And that makes sense since that's kind of what they were going for. I got lots of Flight of the Navigator feels as well. But it takes itself less seriously, and dang it if that doesn't work in Shazam's favor. The tone shifts, and you could say Sivana would be the only other slight weakness. He crosses over into generic baddie now and then, but first, I love me some Mark Strong, and even when he sucks, he's amazing, and he never sucks. The script doesn't always give him a ton to do, but as a villain origin story, a seemingly innocent kid just trying to get by with at best a jerk for a dad who favored his older brother, given a glimpse of this magical world only to have the door shut in his face when he failed in a moment of weakness. To which, you know I always look for ways to empathize, but I think it's deliberate that Billy wasn't even given that test. The wizard was out of options. So is the insinuation that every kid fails this test? Are there any pure of heart kids, really? Does it even matter? The difference between Sivana and Billy was timing and choices. I'd like to see the what if with the two characters' backstories switched. My point in all this is that Sivana is clearly a product of his environment. He's not first book Malfoy, he's Harry if Hagrid found him, said, "Nah, you suck." And then 40 years later he teamed up with Snape, or actually more like Voldemort, I guess. Which, can we get a what if on that too? All those Neville stands will finally get their wish. But this movie gives hope to the kids who probably feel like screw-ups while still exemplifying what it means to be good. No matter how much you've resigned yourself to being a bad kid, there's still hope for you. And it has nothing to do with superpowers. Anyway, not to get too death of the author for you, Sandberg, but I'd venture that the nature versus nurture theme is implicit. They're like two sides of the same coin, both with bad childhoods. One gets shunned, the other given all his dreams. The message isn't feel bad for Sivana, but understanding why people are the way they are can help us empathize and maybe even learn ways to help people turn it all around. Billy is a great example of that. And fortunately, it doesn't just happen because powers. It happens because he fails, because he couldn't understand what he had with his foster family before the pedestal his mother was on shattered. That journey he takes is a hero story. This movie actually asks and answers more questions about heroism than many of its predecessors. Not just laying your life down, but also being willing to share the power and learning to trust and love those that have shown you trust and love. Really? It's a great movie for every kid who's been through the foster system. I hope every single one gets to see it, as well as foster parents. One of my fans who's been through the foster system reached out about this movie, and he said something I really like. That if Asher Angel's portrayal of a foster youth makes even one truly great family consider becoming foster parents, then it will be worth the millions of dollars spent on that movie. And I like to think it must have. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm glad DC took a chance on a lighter story, and I hope we get more of it. Stop keeping up with the Joneses and just make good films. But I know what you're all thinking now. What about Billy's education? He needs to go to school even if he looks like Vincent Adultman. Well, today's sponsor, Audible, has all the audiobooks he'll ever need so that he can take care of his own education Will Hunting style. I'm not actually endorsing anyone dropping out of school, nor does Audible. Stay in school. But look, Audible is the way to listen to audiobooks while smashing through buildings and whatnot. And today, if you go to audible.com/CinemaWins or text CinemaWins to 500-500, you can get a 30-day trial with your first audiobook plus 2 Audible originals free. You can listen to new bestsellers, classics, or originals from your phone or computer while you're working out, driving to work, or shooting lightning from your hands. And the audiobooks are yours. You can access them anytime from anywhere, and if you don't like the book, they even let you swap it out. Julia and I listen on road trips together all the time. It's an excellent service that's been great for us. The link is at the top of the description, audible.com/CinemaWins, or text CinemaWins to 500-500. It's a huge help to the channel, and I know you'll love it.
What's up? I'm a superhero.
Yeah, his name is, Captain Sparkle Fingers.
Mr. Philadelphia.
Red Cyclone.
Power Boy. Sir Zapsalot.
Perfect man.
Human Power Storm.
Chosen one.
Maximum voltage.
Frequency Flinger.
Thunder Crack.